Hey everyone, welcome back to the Spector Creative channel. I'm your host, Scott Toy Guru Neitlich, longtime collector, longtime professional toy maker, which gives this channel a unique voice, I hope. I want to talk today about the phenomenon of movie 2 overdoing it. I think we kind of all know what this is, right? It's when there is a sequel where the first movie was a big hit, but nobody either thought it would be or no one was taking a bet on it, so they overcompensate, if you will, on the second movie. This was kind of, I guess, entombed in pop culture in Toy Story 2, in that great scene where they're in Al's toy barn. Excuse me, can't talk. And they're being given a tour by tour guide Barbie. And the scene is so interesting because, one, Mattel did not allow Barbie to be used in the first movie. They thought it was going to be terrible and awful and wanted to stay the heck away from it, even though her legs showed up in a cameo. But that's a YouTube video for another time. Well, by movie 2, everyone was all in. The first movie broke box office records, it created beloved characters, and it was absolutely a fantastic film. Honestly, I think one of the best animated films ever made. Although, it is a franchise where I think the second one is better than the first. I'm looking at you, Terminator 2, Empire Strikes Back. Not too many of you out there. Temple of Doom. All right, people are going to argue with me on that one. So the other big line in this scene is when they're driving down the Buzz Lightyear aisle, Barbie cracks a joke about retailers being non-committal and under-ordering Buzz Lightyear in the previous season, which is basically what happened for the first movie. Nobody thought it was going to do well, and the Thinkways toy of Buzz Lightyear, which was kind of the signature toy, it was the closest reproduction of him in the aisle. Mattel did toys too, but they were just kind of small action figures that were kid and feature based. Lots of different decos of Buzz and that kind of thing. But what Thinkway did was they created the electronic version that had the pop out wings, and I remember it was really hard to find. It had very limited distribution. I, in fact, wound up getting mine at Disneyland back in high school. Disneyland was basically around the corner from my high school, and we used to hang out there a lot. See my video on the Indiana Jones ride that I'll link at the end of this. It's fascinating. All right, so besides the fact that I wound up only being able to get mine at a Disney park for a slightly inflated price, I didn't care because I was so excited at the time to get a Buzz Lightyear because they were really rare at that time. You couldn't get one. Second movie comes along, Toy Story 2, and everybody's in. Every toy company. Hasbro's got their Mr. Potato Head. Mattel's got a Barbie. It's like a cross toy company display. Pretty impressive. Well, it's not just Toy Story. This has happened quite a lot. Some other really good examples are Iron Man 1. So Iron Man 1, booted obviously the entire Marvel shared universe, but at the time, comic book movies were okay. There was the Fantastic Four films, Blade did well, the X-Men films were, some better than others. Iron Man was kind of considered a C-list Marvel character. Nobody really had heard of him, and so nobody was really betting on him, even though he delivered all of those. He checked the toyetic boxes, right? He had a visual transformation. He had a mask. He had signature weapons, signature armor. He did everything that an action figure should do. And, the Hasbro took a very cautious approach. Come along movie 2, and it's like, bam, what? It's everywhere. It's in multiple scales. You've got role play, you've got high-end, you've got collector, you've got kid. And they just went overboard with it. But I think with Iron Man 2, they were still able to kind of just get at that without going too overboard. Cases where that went the opposite way would be things like Frozen and Guardians of the Galaxy 2, right? Guardians of the Galaxy, exact same story as Iron Man. There was a very minimum amount of toys out there. And in fact, if you look at the Marvel Legends wave, there was 2 of Iron Man. There was a space version of Iron Man in the case pack, and they put him in twice. They were that confident that Guardians of the Galaxy was not going to do that well, that they needed to make sure there were lots of Iron Mans on shelf because Iron Man sells. So that kind of shows you how little, it was a bet about whether or not Guardians would work. And lo and behold, it did. It actually was a hit, much like Iron Man 1. And the second movie really went all out with Groot and Rocket because, Groot was even redesigned to be more toyetic, making him, that small baby in the second film. So you could see in the Guardians of the Galaxy movie 1 line, there was very little Rocket and Groot. In fact, the Rocket Marvel Legends figure had almost no articulation compared to the Rocket from Guardians of the Galaxy 2 has tons of articulation because he's such a popular character. So And, I said a third example is Frozen 2. Obviously, Frozen 1 did extremely well, and Frozen 2 did well, but they did a lot more product for it than I think needed to be. Now, I've said about why they do this is because it's a bet, but I think you're all being like, but why wouldn't you bet on Iron Man or Guardians of the Galaxy, or things like that? Well, just look at Eternals, right? Eternals was exactly like Iron Man. It was a very unknown Marvel property that was going to the theaters, and Hasbro did not bet big on it. They made one line of Marvel Legends and I think one role play item, and that was it. Now imagine for a moment if Eternals was huge and was the hit that Guardians of the Galaxy was. Well, everyone would be like, "Where are all the toys? Where are all the toys?" And it's one of those weird things where it's much better to be conservative than to risk losing money on the table. Meaning, if they went all in on Eternals the way they did for Iron Man 2 or Guardians 2, think of how much more stuff would be at Ollie's. And that's why companies don't go all in on a lot of first movies, but do on the second one, because they're just as unknown as something like Eternals. And they're being very conservative, rightly so, because they need to know that the movie proves itself before they go all in. And they usually go over all in when the second movie comes along. So, it sometimes might seem counterintuitive, but yeah, I think looking at Eternals and Iron Man 1 as perfect examples of a toy company being hesitant, but at least they're going to produce some items should the movie do well. It's better to, when you bet big and put out a lot of merch, you want to kind of make sure you're doing it with a mega, mega hit movie. And more toy lines die than survive. Way more. So that's kind of why there's a hesitancy. I hope you found this video interesting, and thanks for watching and sharing, and I will see you in the next video. Topics always appreciated and asked for, because I always love to know what you guys want to hear about. All right, thanks for watching.